The dawn broke over Kurukshetra with a red glow, as though the sun itself had been splashed with blood before the war even began. Across the vast plain, the two armies faced one another in silence that seemed to stretch for eternity. The ground trembled under the weight of countless chariots, elephants armored in steel, horses restless in the morning chill, and warriors gripping their bows, swords, and spears with hands eager for the clash. Flags fluttered above the battalions, each banner telling its story, the proud emblems of ancient houses, the blazing symbols of kingdoms, the roaring beasts painted on cloth that danced in the wind. Arjuna, son of Pandu, stood upon his golden chariot, his eyes sharp, his armor gleaming with divine light. The Gandiva bow rested in his hand, an unyielding companion forged by the gods, promising death to his enemies and glory to his name. His heart, however, beat like a storm trapped inside a cage. The sound of conch shells shattered the silence. One after another, each mighty warrior blew his conch, their voices like thunder rolling across the heavens. Bhishma's conch roared like a lion, shaking the earth. Drona's call was sharp and precise, cutting the air like the stroke of a blade. From the Pandava side, Krishna, the charioteer of Arjuna, lifted his conch, Panchajanya, and its sound spread like a wave of divine power, steady and fearless. Yet within Arjuna, there was no steady power. There was a question, a storm, a shadow. He gazed across the battlefield, and what he saw froze his breath in his chest. Standing there, ready to kill or be killed, were the very faces of his life teachers who had guided his hand when he was a boy, grandfathers who had lifted him on their shoulders, uncles who had told him stories by the fire, brothers-in-law who had laughed with him during festivals, and sons of his kin who had once looked at him with admiration. And all of them, every one stood on the opposite side of this dreadful field, weapons raised, eyes burning with the fire of war. "Krishna," Arjuna whispered, his throat dry, "place my chariot in the center. Let me see them. Let me see who dares stand against us." Krishna, calm and serene, guided the horses forward. The chariot rolled into the no man's land between the two armies, its golden wheels crushing the dust, its flag of Hanuman flying high. Arjuna stood tall, his heart pounding louder with every step closer. When the chariot halted, he looked, and what he saw made his bow grow heavy in his hands. The battlefield stretched endlessly, yet Arjuna's eyes did not see the vastness of the plain. He saw only faces. Bhishma, the grandsire, the pillar of their lineage, the man who had loved the Pandavas as his own blood, now stood at the head of the Kaurava army. His white beard flowed like a river of wisdom, his eyes sorrowful yet unyielding. How could one raise a bow against him? Beside Bhishma stood Drona, the master who had taught Arjuna every secret of the bow, every art of warfare, every trick of the arrow. How could a student kill his teacher? How could he repay knowledge with death? And beyond them, uncles, cousins, nephews, even brothers-in-law, all tied by blood, by friendship, by the sacred web of family. Arjuna's gaze wandered helplessly, falling upon each beloved face, and with each face his heart cracked further. He saw his elder brother-in-law, Salya, with his calm eyes ready for vengeance. He saw the sons of Dhritarashtra, blind in rage, though their father was blind by fate. He saw princes and warriors, boys who had once played with him in gardens, now armored and ready to spill his blood. Everywhere he looked, he saw only family that would soon be corpses upon this ground. His breath came ragged, his bow trembled, his mind, once sharp and focused, became clouded with sorrow. He turned to Krishna, his voice breaking as though each word was torn from his chest. "Krishna, these are not enemies. These are my teachers, my fathers, my sons, my grandfathers, my uncles, my brothers-in-law, my grandsons. For their sake we have desired kingdom, wealth, pleasures, and yet they stand here, ready to die, abandoning wealth and even life itself. What joy can I take from victory bought at such a price?" The wind carried his cry across the plain, but only Krishna heard the true agony behind it. The Gandiva bow in Arjuna's hand felt suddenly like iron chains. His arms, once proud and steady, now quivered as though weighed down by mountains. His skin burnt, sweat drenched his brow, his mouth turned dry as the desert. He looked again, and the vision grew darker. He did not see warriors now. He saw their bodies broken upon the ground, saw their wives weeping in grief, saw children made orphans, kingdoms made ashes. What is victory if it comes with rivers of blood? He whispered. What is a kingdom if it rests upon the corpses of my kin? His body trembled violently. His bow slipped from his fingers and clattered against the floor of the chariot. The sound was sharp, final, like the breaking of a soul. His arrows spilled, their deadly tips gleaming, yet useless to a warrior whose heart no longer wished to kill. Arjuna sank to his knees, clutching his head in his hands. His chest heaved with sobs that he tried to swallow, his warrior's pride breaking under the flood of grief. Krishna, he said, my very limbs fail me, my skin burns, my mouth dries, my body shakes. How can I fight? How can I lift this bow against those whom I love more than life itself? The horses stamped nervously, as if they too felt their master's despair. The battlefield around him roared with drums, conches, and war cries. But in Arjuna's heart there was only silence, silence heavy with sorrow. A warrior's duty was clear: to fight, to win, to protect righteousness, to destroy evil. Arjuna had been raised with that truth from birth. Yet, what was righteousness here? Was it the throne, the kingdom, the promise of power? Or was it the sacred bond of family that tied his soul to every man on that battlefield? The questions gnawed at him, each one more painful than the last. If I fight, I kill my family. If I do not fight, I betray my duty, my brothers, my kingdom. Which sin is greater? Which path is darker? Tell me, Krishna, for my heart is drowning in confusion. His eyes, once blazing with courage, now shone with tears. Even if they slay me, unarmed, unresisting, it would be better than striking them down with my own hands. How could I bear the curse of killing my elders, my teachers, my kin? Better to die here, Krishna. Better to let them take the throne, let them take the world itself, than to see the blood of family upon my hands. The warrior who had never feared battle, who had faced demons and kings, now trembled like a child torn from his mother's arms. The battlefield roared around them, but within Arjuna's heart there was stillness, a terrible stillness, as though time itself had stopped. He knelt in his chariot, head bowed, the Gandiva bow abandoned beside him, his quiver spilling arrows like fallen hopes. He thought of his childhood, the days spent under Bhishma's protection, the lessons at Drona's feet, the games with his cousins before envy poisoned their bond. He thought of the laughter in the halls of Hastinapur, the feasts, the stories, the faces of those he now must face as enemies. How cruel was fate that it had brought them all to this cursed plain, where kin must kill kin, where love must turn to hatred, where duty must shatter the heart. His throat tightened, his chest heavy, as though the weight of the world crushed it. Krishna, I cannot fight. My mind is poisoned by grief. My heart will not obey my duty. Tell me what is right, what is just, what is true. But Krishna said nothing. The Lord of the universe, calm and radiant, held the reins of the horses, his eyes fixed upon the battlefield. His silence was not empty, it was the silence of eternity, waiting for the right moment to speak. Arjuna sank lower, his strength drained, his spirit broken. The mighty warrior who had never bowed before man or demon now bowed before despair. His bow lay abandoned, his arrows useless, his voice a whisper of pain. I will not fight, he said at last. The words slipped from his lips like a final breath. I will not stain this ground with the blood of my kin. Let them strike me down if they must. But I cannot, Krishna. I cannot lift my bow against them. And there he remained, slumped upon his chariot, his golden armor gleaming in the light of dawn, yet his spirit shadowed by sorrow. The armies shouted, the drums beat, the conches roared, but Arjuna heard none of it. He heard only the cry of his heart, torn between love and duty, trapped in a storm that no warrior's strength could conquer. The battlefield of Kurukshetra had not yet been touched by war, but already it had claimed its first victim, the will of Arjuna, the mightiest of the Pandavas. And beside him, Krishna held the reins, his silence deeper than the sky, his gaze steady as the eternal truth. The moment had come. The world itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the words that would change the fate of man and the destiny of time.